Welcome to the first episode of Employed People, a show where I ask people about their jobs and careers and all the strange stories they have to share about them. Some of my ground rules for the show is I never share the name of the guest's employer unless they want to share it. I also don't ask their salaries, but you are definitely welcome to guess. Today, I'm going to be talking to Joey. He is part of the waitstaff at an event center that handles weddings, company meetings, school board events, and other big events like that. Joey's a good friend of mine, and I really hope you guys enjoy the episode. Welcome, everyone. Today we're going to be talking with Joey, the server. I don't know if you're also a bartender. What are you?
Training as a bartender. I'm doing some minor barback stuff.
Is that where you're like the bitch of like the bar?
I'm the bitch.
Okay.
They need more anything. I go and grab it. Cutting up limes, that kind of thing.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, so have you ever been a waiter or like a server before where you are now? Because where do you work in what neighborhood?
I'm in Mid Wilshire. It's a really cool, like, old, beautiful building. So, like, this is a step up from my only kind of waiter experience, if you can call it that, which was at Chipotle. Shout out.
Oh God, you were one of like the.
I was
Chipotle
one of
people?
those. Welcome to Chipotle. What can I get started for you? And
No, that's good, man. I mean, so like, how long have you been at this particular restaurant?
so it's not a restaurant. The events I work for the venue itself, and
Okay.
we do cooking in-house, but you can't make a reservation or anything there. It's
Okay, so you're saying it's like you go to an event and there's also food at the event?
mm-hmm.
So like some sort of like a convention center or something like that?
It's closer to that than it is a restaurant.
Okay, but like, okay, so like you're the one who like, so do people like order stuff or is it just like a catering thing where they just give you whatever?
So it's usually like the way that they do for weddings, where like you get like the wedding invite and the couple has picked the entrees and the appetizers that they're gonna do, and the guests have ordered what they pick between like three things
Okay.
in advance. And
So you don't have to worry about people like asking for weird stuff?
no, and in fact, if they do, we get to say like, sorry, you already made your decision a few months ago, even if you
Dude.
forgot it.
The power of that's got to be awesome, man. Because I remember when I was a busboy, I didn't have to take people's orders, but I had to bring people bread, and they would ask for the weirdest shit with the bread. Like, they would say the bread was too hard or too soft or something, or they would say like, you know, this one dude had never heard of bread in his life. He had dementia. That's probably why. But, no, but I mean, you probably get some terrible customers regardless, I'm sure.
Yeah. It's usually the mother of the bride or the mother of the groom.
Oh, so you do weddings?
It's mostly weddings.
Oh,
Almost
man.
every weekend it's a wedding.
So you should have said you're like a wedding caterer, bro. That would have been a really cooler thing to say.
We do more stuff than weddings, but
All right, so
weddings keep the lights on.
Listeners, we're gonna start over. This is Joey, the wedding caterer.
Okay.
That's way more interesting. So like, how many weddings? Like, this is like you're saying like on an average day you're doing a wedding?
I'd say every Saturday and on a busy month.
Damn. Do you
Also
mean like the
a
reception
Friday.
of the wedding, or do you mean like?
Sometimes they do the actual ceremony there, but then I have nothing to do for
Okay.
it. But like we can see it outside in the courtyard. Sometimes they do the ceremony elsewhere, and then they get bussed over here.
Huh.
Yeah,
Dude, that's so much more interesting.
it's quite a routine.
Like you probably get some crazy people watching. Do you overhear
Yes.
like what the wedding people were talking about?
What, you mean like the planners or the florists or like
No, I mean-
the wedding party?
Yeah, dude, I'm talking about because I was at my sister's wedding recently. And shout out to Emily Pryal, her name is now. She changed her last name. But I was at my sister's wedding, and when we were at like the reception or whatever, this was a rehearsal dinner. I'm sorry. I remember there was like a bunch of wait staff there, and I'm realizing that's probably your job, right? They would just
Yes.
bring. But I remember they probably do that all the time. They probably eavesdrop a lot on like the people. Like they probably know by the end of the night like which grandma hates the other grandma or something. Like, do you ever get to do that?
That's the most fun part of the job is like not like talking to them and confirming what the tea is that like with the family, but
Yeah.
checking out like, okay, let's figure out like that this is the table for the people they didn't really want to invite, but they
There
kinda
always
have
is that
to.
one table.
These are like the sorority sisters of the bride.
Dude, that's
This
the
is
thing.
the dad's
like,
work friends that they had to invite.
That was my issue when I was a busboy. Was like I never wanted to assume the relationship between the people at the table because I would always be wrong. Because I saw an old man and an old woman, and I assumed husband and wife, and I find out halfway through eavesdropping that they're brother and sister. And so, like, if I had made some comment about them being married, it would have been really weird. You know?
Don't assume.
And so I'm figuring at a wedding, it must be really fun to figure out, like, oh, this is this person or that person, and these people clearly don't like each other, and this table is for the outcasts.
Yeah.
And
it's easiest to figure out when it gets to the point of the evening where, like, after they've eaten and then the bride and groom, they go around to each table and they're like, thanks for everyone for coming. Like, they thank them individually. You can kind of see, like, based on the body language and, like, if you're nearby what they're saying, even, you can kind of figure out a little bit of...
Have you ever been at a wedding or, like, done, like, a wedding thing where, like, something really awkward happened?
Off the top of my head, the only real awkward thing that happened was the wedding got canceled and I got paid for the day because they...
Whoa, like the wedding, like the marriage fell through?
They don't... Yeah, the marriage fell through. Apparently there was cheating on some end.
Wow.
And...
I almost wish that could have happened, like, while you were working it. Like, they could have had, like, a...
I know.
Movie moment.
There's... really the only, like, awkward stuff that happens is, like, drunk relatives.
Oh, dude, I mean, I remember I've been at a wedding, not my sister's wedding, I've been at a different wedding where, like, the one person who's, like, not supposed to get up and talk, like, gets up and does, like, a toast, and everyone's like, no.
Yeah.
I'm sure that happens.
There was a toast, it was a second marriage. They were doing the wedding there, and the groom's son gave a speech and was like, Sarah and I, like, at first we didn't get along, but she's pretty cool now. And the whole rest of the speech was just, like, that tone of, like,
such a weird way to start.
I'm gonna call you Sarah, not mom, like, that kind of... Oh, God,
dude.
That kind of thing.
How old was this guy? Was he, like,
older than you might have wanted him to be, like, I'd say, like, 18, maybe.
Okay, so he wasn't, like a kid or something?
No. Awkward enough. No, it's charming if it's a kid, kind of. You can get away with it.
So, like, if they're doing an event that's not a wedding, what is it? Like, have you done one of those?
Yeah, anything from, like, a random dinner celebrating the anniversary of a company to award shows. And those are the coolest ones, especially, like, we're in award season right now, so I have a couple of those.
Do you have to do, like, one of the big ones?
I mean, define big.
I mean, I know you probably
none that I've
can't
heard
say.
of.
Okay. Like, have you seen, like, a famous person?
I've seen a lot of famous people.
Wow. Dude, that's pretty cool. I remember I saw, I've seen, like, famous people at, like, sports games and stuff, but have you ever, like, gone up and, like, talked to one? Because I never really do.
So, like, going up and talking to them, I assume is different than being like, excuse me, would you like any wine? Like,
okay, well, yes, you've interacted with them, but you didn't...
I've done that to, like, a number of people.
Sure.
Like, or even, I'll just find something to say to them, like, enjoy your dinner if I'm setting it down in front of them. Like,
so then you can, like, say, like, oh, I've talked to this person.
Yeah.
Okay.
And do you want me to say names of people who were courteous and, like, celebrities
I mean,
can say
here's
positive
the thing.
things about?
You're allowed to, and if they sue me, I would prefer they sue you.
Well, it's not slander if it's a compliment.
Saying, if you are listening to this, whoever he's about to say, please sue him. I'm not culpable for
I was just going to say, like, Ben Platt was very nice.
I could see that.
Like, and...
Well, yeah, don't say the names of people that did bad stuff.
No, of course.
And so who was cool?
There was, Kendrick Lamar was very cool.
You met him?
I didn't... So the deal was it was an event for, like, the school district that his kids they go to. We had a separate, like, VIP room set up for him. I brought, like, appetizers up there. I thought I was going to get to meet him. I did not. I go up at the end of the night to, like, clear out the VIP room. He didn't even touch the food. He wasn't there. He was mingling with the other, like, parents, like a humble,
like him, man.
Humble, good pun. Like a cool guy.
Yeah.
Like, just down to earth.
Drake would never do that, man.
Drake would not.
Drake would be hitting on the kids, bro.
No,
actually, for anyone listening, Kendrick Lamar is about to do the halftime show in about probably 2 hours.
Yeah, we're recording this the day of the Super Bowl.
So if he does something noteworthy, we don't know about it yet.
And that event, by the way,
The
where
Super
he
Bowl?
was there.
Oh, no,
no. The
the-
event where I saw him, that was the day the beef started.
Oh,
That was the day
wait.
before he dropped Not Like Us.
Dude, you should have talked to him about it, man.
I didn't
Dude,
know
imagine
what
like
I
a-
was even.
Can you imagine, like, being...
I'm sure people talked to him about it.
Yeah, like, Kendrick being there and the other parents are like, hey, so, you know, what's going on?
What are you gonna say?
What is happening?
you just got dragged into some crazy. Yeah.
I don't know, like, just him going to that during that is kind of funny to me. But no, he seemed... I always...
To know that right before and right after, he's just like, writing on paper with a burning quill, just like.
I don't know, like, I don't really have an easy time going up to celebrities and talking to them, because it's like half the time I don't really know what the point is. Like, if it's a guy I've recognized from, like, a TV show, I don't really see the point in being like, oh my god, you're this famous person. At that point, I just feel like I'm doing it for clout. But if it's like someone like I like really admire their work, maybe I would consider it. But
Nothing would make me like squirm for a week more than feeling like I was a burden to someone that I admire.
oh yeah, like someone's like,
If I'm gonna say something to them, I want to say something that I don't think that they've ever really, that anyone's ever said to
Oh,
them
yeah.
before.
No,
And I
I'll
want it to
try
be
to-
like a nice thing. Like, I don't get starstruck very easily. Like,
Mhm.
I worked an event the other day where I saw a bunch of famous people, and like, I wanted to say, if I weren't like there to be professional and like look fancy and serve them stuff, I would want to be like, excuse me, huge fan, you're an inspiration. Only one person's ever made me like my heart skip a beat.
Who
I
was
was
it?
like, so a different award show last year, I hope that they do it again this year, because that would be amazing. It was the Golden Reel Awards. It's like a
Yeah, I've heard of that.
sound editing award. I hadn't heard of it. I went not thinking it was going to be anything major, but I went. We really decked out the place, and like there were all
Mhm.
these sound editors for like big movies that year, like because of course like Godzilla -1 had
Oh, yeah.
amazing sound, so there were the people. Those people were awesome. They were all like carrying around like little like Godzilla action figures. Like they were such a good team.
Were they weren't American, were they? Were they?
No, they're Japanese.
Did they speak English, or did you have like,
Yeah, they spoke well enough.
Really?
Yeah.
Dude, I'm impressed.
And
by
I
other
actually
countries,
like
man.
talked to them because usually like you see someone you don't know like what they worked on there,
Yeah.
but you could probably assume that the people holding Godzilla action figures were
Okay, that's a
what movie they
reasonable-
were working on. So I was like, excuse me, like I loved your movie, and they were like, oh, thank you so much. That's the only thing that I would say to someone. But
Yeah.
so later in the night, I'm just bussing. I'm picking up glasses backstage from like the reception area where people are going after they've accepted their award, and Patton Oswalt walks by me,
I love that
and
guy.
he's
dude.
my hero. I went through a massive stand-up comedy phase,
Really.
and I feel myself sliding back into it. And he's the one who kicked it off for me.
He's really funny.
He's so funny. He's so, like, I've consumed so much of his stuff that I know if I said something to him that he would be cool. I admire the hell out of him. So he walked right behind me, right past me, and I was like, I have to orchestrate some way to run into him organically
Yeah.
later today so I could tell him that, like, he means the world to me. So I think that they'll do the event this year, and he might host again, and I'll be able to like
Redeem yourself.
write like a practice like real quick what I can say, be like, Mr. Oswald, I love you. Yeah.
I know. I had this one moment where I was seeing a movie at the Grove. I was the AMC in the Grove. I think I was seeing Civil War. You ever see that one?
I didn't see
That was
it.
the
I
newest
know
one.
though.
And I remember I saw it with my friend Oriana, and we were just watching the movie, and then up front, she like nudged me. She's like, "That guy in front of us, he looks just like Taika Waititi." And I was like, yeah, okay, I'm sure a lot of people look like that guy. He's wearing a bucket hat. That's not him. Like, why would he be at the Grove watching Civil War? The movie came out like a month ago too. It wasn't even a new movie at the time. So I was like, there's no way. So she cannot focus on the second half of the movie because so we get out of the theater. And she's like, that's him. That's got to be him. That's got to be him. And she will not shut up about it. So then I was like, you know what? I'm just gonna go talk to this guy just so I can prove to her that that's not him.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm like, you wait here. I'm just gonna go talk to him so that way you don't have to worry about that. Like it's very hard to talk to you when you're acting. Like she was so hyper about it. She's like, that's him. And so I leave to go over there, and then I come back after like 30 seconds, and I was like, yeah, that was him. I was like, and I remember it was him, and I went up to him, and I was like, excuse me, are you Taika Waititi? And he was like, yeah. But he was chill. I was like, I just want to say I'm a huge fan. He was like, my family and I love your movies. He was like, thanks, bro. And then he just walked away. Like, I could tell he didn't really want to talk, but he was appreciative, but he didn't want to get into it. And I was like, totally cool. I only did that just so she would. And then she went over and talked to him too, and he had the same song and dance. So I kind of feel bad for the guy. Nice guy though. I mean, I think he's really talented. But,
I mean, I love him.
Yeah.
I think he might be one of those people who, if I saw him, I would probably freak out.
But yeah, I mean, I think it's funny you are at a thing where you meet somebody or like are in contact with someone famous people. Like when you're asking them like, do you want more water or something? Do you ever get more nervous doing that than the normal person? Like if you have to go ask like,
I'm not nervous.
Tom
I'm
Hanks,
a little bit more like disappointed that it's all I can say.
You don't get to ask for a job or something.
No, like, and I work with people who would do that. That's why they give them other jobs. Like, there's a bunch of people working these events, and like some people are like, "You're gonna be the water guy right now," or you're gonna tray pass appetizers. You're gonna go bus around the room. There are some people who, if they're left alone in an event with someone they recognize, they're probably gonna be like, "Excuse me, like I'm an actor, and I love you, and I think." Keep me in mind for your next thing. A horrible thing to do. Yeah. I feel like there are stories of that kickstarting people's careers, or at least there's been myths of them. I think that makes my skin crawl. So I keep it professional, but the wish in the back of your mind is that like
this guy's gonna take me all the way.
Is that like I say, excuse me, sir, do you want more water? And the guy turns around, he's like, you don't know who I am, but I'm a producer of Marvel movies, and you look just like Tom Holland's on the way out, and we really want you to be the next Spider-Man. I'm like, someone finally saw me.
I know, man.
That's what you want to happen, but I would never do anything to like...
You want someone to just like pick you out of the crowd and be like, that's it. That's
exactly.
Peter Parker.
That's what I'm not gonna stumble and drop my script in their lap.
It's like, no!
Oh my god! I'm so sorry. How could I have lost my?
No, but I mean, so aside from the whole like famous people thing, like when you're just doing, because I'm sure you do many events where there's no famous people.
Most of them,
but like when you're being told like what kind of job you have to do that night, what's like the worst one? Like you get assigned to do this thing and you're like, god damn it.
Like, I want to be a bartender. The grunt work of the bartender to set up and the cleanup later is really tedious. It's the most heavy lifting.
Oh, you have to lift the kegs and stuff, right?
There's we don't do kegs. We don't like have a tap, but we have like bottles and stuff that we have to bring from downstairs, and like you have to like make crates of sodas and stuff, and it's not awful work, but it's so much going up and downstairs. It's an old building. We use a dumbwaiter, but sometimes it doesn't work.
You're not a dumb waiter. You're a smart waiter.
The jokes have been made constantly.
I'm sorry.
And I'm the one who makes them. And yeah, so like your legs get tired, your arms get tired.
Oh yeah, dude. I know. Like when I got done,
your hands get sticky from like all of the.
Dude, I remember like when I would come home from a bad day of being a busboy when I was like 17. It was like when you laid down, it like hurt really good. Like your legs.
I don't mind that, like the soreness from like when you come home from the gym or the next day. You're like, I at least earned this.
Yeah. I was just covered in like water and like whatever I used to clean dishes and stuff. But yeah, so like, have you ever like dropped like a plate or like glass? I'm sure you have, right?
Yeah. And it happens. I thought it was a bigger deal the first time it happened. It took months before I dropped my first glass. I was really like, I want to go. I had it in my head. I was like, I want to earn a reputation of being like a guy
Yeah.
with a really steady hand and like really like good balance. It's such a weird thing to like have that on your imaginary resume, but like I do,
Yeah, dude.
I would be like, oh man, like
Joey never drops
Joey
anything.
never drops a glass. Like he's a legend around here. And then it happened, and then my boss was like, sweep it up. Like it was really no, but he wasn't like, that's coming out of your
It's not
paycheck.
a big deal.
It's yeah.
I know that when I went like my first few months being a busboy, never dropping anything, and my coworker was like, "Bro, like, it's gonna happen, bro. Like, no one gets it. Like I've dropped so many things I can't even think of them all." So I remember I went through like 2 months never dropping anything, and then in 1 week I dropped like 5 things. And he was like, "You shouldn't have said anything, bro. You jinxed it."
Yeah,
You brought
so
it
it's
on
not
yourself.
like the dropping of it is the problem. It's the embarrassment of if you do it in front of people. Okay.
It's the worst.
One time we were doing a wedding, and it was, I'm not going to guess like what the culture was, but there was a long dance with very loud drums
Okay.
that was going on,
Like live drums?
during live drums. Crazy things happen at the I've worked Chinese weddings where like they do the whole like
Yeah, I wanted to ask
dragon
if you've done,
dance.
like, weddings
They
from
bring
like,
up-
other cultures.
a
Probably
ton of them.
Okay.
The first wedding I worked was an Indian wedding.
Dude, Indian weddings are awesome,
It
man.
was, so it wasn't like proper
They're great.
like elephant but it was like sometimes when they bring in from like really expensive like florist and vendor and food
Yeah.
vendors and stuff like that, you can get a sense of, and like they decorate super like elaborately, and like you can tell that it's a richer wedding, and
I remember,
sometimes it's a
like-
very basic package. But one time I was
Yeah.
I was bussing, and the really loud I mean the dance went on for like,
Was it like cool?
it was really cool, it was really loud. It went on for like 10-15 minutes, and like the ideal time to drop a glass,
Oh god.
and then it ended, and it's dead quiet right after the applause dies down, and that's when I drop a glass, and like you're not supposed to be the center of attention,
Dude, I know.
as a server, but everyone turned and looked. It was like,
I'm thinking like, I remember when I was at my sister's wedding 2 months ago. I remember she's walking down the aisle with my dad. It's a very big moment. This is like, you know, if she was gonna remember like 10 things at the end of her life, like this is the moment. And I remember I was kind of sick, right? So all day I was like, holy shit, like what if I start coughing? I was like, what do I, like, what would happen? And I was like, there's nothing I can do about this, so I just have to, like, drink a bunch of water, like, breathe through my nose. And then I remember she's going down the aisle, and I'm like, I'm good, I got this. And then something completely different happened. I'm about to sneeze. So I'm like, oh my, so I'm, like, holding my face like this, and it would, to the outsider, it would look like I'm really emotional. They were
That's
like,
good.
I was like, her brother's
That's
just
a good
tearing up.
cover.
And I was like, I swear to God, if I sneeze right now, I will ruin the most magical moment of your life. But no, I remember like I would drop stuff. I would drop glasses and plates, and I mean, I've dropped like, you know, glassware with nothing in it, and that's awesome. But when you drop something like a plate full of food, that makes it 50 times worse. You know, because then I gotta get the mop out, and then I dropped it near someone's table, and now they're inconvenienced. Or I've never spilled anything on somebody. I don't know if you ever have.
No, I've gotten spilled on.
Oh, all the time.
But that's better.
Oh, yeah.
I'm expendable.
Yeah.
I'm wearing all black for that exact reason.
Yeah, no one can see it.
The people in the rental tuxes, they can't. Yeah,
I would walk out right there, dude. I'd be like, I'm so sorry, I'm quitting.
it happens. But
So like,
Yeah.
so how long do you have to, like, once the event ends, like, how long do you have to stay before you can leave? Like, do you gotta like clean up and everything?
lights come on typically at midnight, and
God
it only takes
damn,
like
dude.
yeah, it's not too bad though. And then if we're doing a good job of like bussing before then, and closing down like the coffee station, the dessert station, everything, I'll be out in like half an hour later.
Dude, I mean, 12:30. What? That's like, you
Yeah,
must be like dead. By
I'm
the end of
used
that,
to
dude.
it at that point. I'd rather work late than come in early.
I would agree with that. I understand. Yeah. So like, when do you wait? So if you get it, like, how long is your shift? Like 8 hours?
8 to 10 ish hours.
You have a hard job, man.
Yeah, I used to hate it. Like, jobs where the time all like, where you're doing the same thing for 10 hours, like Chipotle and stuff. Like, I'm just standing in the line, waiting for people to come in, and it's just repetitive. That I didn't like doing for 10 hours.
Yeah.
This kind of job, you're doing like, it's a bunch of little tasks that are each going to take like half an hour to an hour, and then you go and do something else. And it always feels different in a way that like I get through the day and it feels like less time has passed. Like, I'm still tired and I've still like gone up and down stairs a ton, but I'm at least I wasn't watching the clock.
Yeah. Okay, yeah. Like, you're not like being like, all right, I gotta like count down the seconds here.
Yeah, because certain things are gonna happen at certain times, and like there's more.
Yeah.
There's worse. Like the beginning of the shift, like the setting up of things, that's kind of boring, and then everything starts, and like now there's like food that I can sneak, and now there's like.
Do you ever like eat
people watching? I can do.
Actually, you'll get fired
ton,
if you. Okay.
A ton.
You do eat the food.
Oh my god, yeah.
Yeah. I would eat a lot of the food at my restaurant. I would like be like, dude, we have like, where'd all the bread go? And I was like, that's crazy, man. I don't know what happened.
Yeah. We have good food, luckily, and it's.
Do you ever like take food home with you?
Sometimes. So like they've got early on when they're doing like the cocktail hour, we have like hors d'oeuvres. That's good stuff. It's not really gonna last the rest of the night. Then the kitchen is cooking up dinner. They make however many were ordered by the guests. Inevitably, people aren't going to show up. Whatever is left in the hot box, we get to have, and it's great. So I got like a nice steak most weekends.
Dude.
And then later in the evening, that's when the good stuff is. There's like late night snacks. They got like fries that we're passing around, sliders we're passing around, beignets we do a lot of time, or they'll bring in like food vendors from elsewhere. A thing that's happened a bunch recently is people will rent this. In-N-Out has I think they have a fleet of like mobile restaurants, trucks.
In-N-Out?
Yes.
Dude, they're a very efficient restaurant, bro.
Trucks that like, they pull up to your place, not a food truck because it's even bigger, it's like an 18-wheeler, and they like flip up a window on the side, and there's a whole like kitchen in there, and then there's also like a compartment that they flip up on the side, and it's like a soda dispenser. It's a custom, they get these trucks like custom made, I think, decked out with all the stuff that they
it's
can
like a
need.
taco, like a mobile
basically. But it's got everything an In-N-Out does. And like they're not even making like abbreviated versions of the food. Like one time I've gone like, once the guests are done going, my boss will be like, you can go one at a time, sneak out, get something. And I was like, can I just get like I'm like, what can I get? Can I just get like a burger? And they're like, yeah, but do you want anything else? I'm like, what do you mean? I'm like, well, my order is I want like a double animal style. And they're like, we can do that. For some reason, I assumed that it was like a very like a In-N-Out light, but
no,
it's
a full blown In-N-Out.
Fully.
Dude, I gotta look this up, man. They got In-N-Out mobile, dude.
Yes,
that's awesome.
And it's happened a bunch recently.
They've come to your work or whatever.
They come to weddings.
Dude,
they cater for weddings. They're like
In-N-Out at your wedding. Dude, my sister did it wrong, bro. She did it.
Mm-hmm.
I was gonna ask, like, so when it's like a different culture of wedding, do they have like that specific kind of food? Like if I went to, if an Indian wedding was happening at your place, like would there be like Indian food that you guys make?
Or? It depends. We order, like we've worked Jewish weddings where they've had to, well, actually the rules of like kosher food are, I'm Jewish and I don't even understand them. Like we can't even cook the food. They're delivered from anyone who keeps kosher at the wedding. They have ordered food from another place ahead of time.
I see.
It's weird. The first wedding I ever worked, though, the Indian wedding, we served food that I have never had since at my job. My coworkers were like, we've never made before. This I've never, like, we have a really amazing head chef at my job. Shout out Tommy. And I think he just like cooked up like he made like, it was like tikka masala ravioli or something he made. I know that sounds weird. I think I might actually be getting that wrong.
I mean, like, if you can't pronounce it, it's usually good food.
That and a bunch of other. It was really amazing. I love Indian food, and he cooked, pun intended. And sometimes that does happen where actually never since has like it been a wedding for another culture where they've had us make a custom menu.
Yeah.
Usually they'll get things brought in from elsewhere, and we'll make our usual thing, our like kind of chicken that appeals to
most people,
all of the cultures. And then they'll also be like, we're this is a Turkish wedding, so we've also put like these specific kind of pastries on the table too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, folks, if you're having a wedding, you're going to want to hire Joey, the wedding waiter, to help you out. He can get the In-N-Out truck. He can get Indian food. You can get whatever you need, man. So
we've done bar mitzvahs too. Anything where you think there's going to be food and dancing,
got it, bro.
We are available, but you have to come to us. We won't come to you.
Okay. And that's somewhere in Mid-Wilshire, so figure it out. Don't say where.
Figure it out.
All right. Well, anyway,
it's owned by a women's club. That's
okay.
That's your hint.
You got some clues? All right. Well, thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it.
Of course, thanks for having me.
Some interesting stuff. Got to get the In-N-Out mobile. So, yeah, thanks for coming on, man.
Of course.
Thank you for joining us for the first episode of Employed People. I hope you enjoyed it. Next week, we're going to be talking to another good friend of mine, Max, who is a tour guide. I learned a lot, and I'm really excited for you guys to hear that one, too. Take it easy, and I will see you next week.